guys, welcome to the We Need to Calm Down podcast. I'm Devin,
And I'm Joe.
and this is a show where we talk about all things Taylor Swift.
That's right. This is the show where two friends finally get to let their dedication to YouTube's most viewed female artist, Taylor Swift, fly.
We'll be discussing everything from song breakdowns, Taylor news, and our insane fan theories.
That's right. But before we get into this week's episode, we have a little bit of an announcement that we'd like to make just on the forefront. So we wanted to give a quick update about the podcast and what we want to do with it going forward. So with everything going on in our lives with work and our responsibilities, we're going to have to move the podcast to an every other week show for the time being. Balancing real life and Taylor life is getting a bit harder, and we want to make sure that every episode we put out feels well thought out, well written, and not rushed. And we think giving us an extra week to write and better prepare our thoughts will really help us provide a better product to everyone listening, which I think is the end goal. We want to make sure that we're providing entertaining and informative content. So we will not have an episode next week, but we will have an episode. I believe, what was the schedule? Right, the 16th, right after Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Okay, so our next episode will be February the 16th, as opposed to next typical Tuesday. But you're stuck with us this week. And Devin, what are we going to talk about on this typical Tuesday night?
So, for this typical Tuesday, we will be discussing the second chapter that Taylor has put out in her Evermore chronological story, I guess.
Cinematic universe.
Cinematic universe is the Forever is the Sweetest Con chapter.
Now, I'm going to point out immediately, the last episode we did on a chapter was not polite to chapters. We don't have a great view of them. We aren't giant fans of them. We don't generally listen to them very much. And especially in this era, we thought they were a bit of a cop-out, a little bit of a cash grab. So you might be sitting there wondering, God, we get it. You don't like them. Why are you doing another episode on them? Well, dear listener, we found a tweet from @RunawaySwiftMe. Interesting. That pointed out that this chapter actually tells the story of her and Taylor and Joe and their relationship. And that intrigued me, especially as someone who has bashed these chapters of being just random, kind of, and not really, ever since escapism, not really having any meaning or anything like that, to then see a chapter that seems to have a lot of meaning and an actual story arc and a lot of semblance of meaning to it. So we thought we'd talk about it today.
Yes.
So I'm going to eat my words. This chapter, I think, is actually good. I have listened to this chapter on repeat for the last 24 hours, and I think the songs are really well chosen together. I think also I'm just getting back into Taylor Swift a little more. Like, I'm starting to listen to Folklore a little bit more after like just a cold turkey, and I'm starting to get back into the songs that I liked. But this chapter, I think, might have been the introduction to that. So a couple of quick facts. Devin, can you tell us about this release?
Sure. So the chapter was released at 12:11 a.m. on January 28th, runs about 24 minutes, and that is pretty much the same standard, what she's been doing for the past couple of chapters. 6 songs, again, as is custom. The songs are Cowboy Like Me, Mirror Ball, Evermore, Long Story Short, Invisible String, and Willow. So right away, you see that there are 2 songs from Folklore on this one, as opposed to the one from the chapter last time.
I called that they would have more. I knew it. I knew it.
So they are based after lyrics, like Joe said. They're from Cowboy Like Me, though, which Joe didn't pick out. But honestly, I don't know how he didn't pick it out. I feel like this is a pretty...
That's the thing. Well, it's weird. Like, I'm trying to remember when she announced it, but this title, Forever is the Sweetest Con, she has 2 pieces of merch with this title, like with these lyrics in it. She has a long sleeve shirt that came out with the album, and now she has a new hat that says Forever is the Sweetest Con for Valentine's Day collection, which I almost bought, but I just don't like. I don't like this lyric that much. Like, I don't know. It's not, the lyrics not for me. the songs for me, but it is interesting. The first song of the lyric, or the first song of this chapter, is where the lyric is found. Cowboy like me. Um, Forever is the sweetest con. What does that even mean, though?
Forever's the sweetest con? I mean, I think you're going to talk about it later, but forever's the sweetest con. I think it's, someone who might be jaded in a relationship saying, okay, well, forever is a con. I pulled it out on you and now you're stuck with me forever, marriage, that kind of stuff.
It's weird. Like especially with the theory that we're going into today, that these 6 songs encapsulate the timeline of Taylor Swift's relationship, that she would title the her relationship story as a jaded, or forever is a con, like love is a con and we're not going to be together forever, but this is our relationship and this is our story of me and Joe, like, so like a lovely love story that's a con. Like, it just seems so oddly named. So I don't know. For me, I think forever is the sweetest con is just someone like you said, someone who doesn't really believe in marriage or something. Marriage is like a forever commitment. And I mean, we've seen Taylor Swift's view on marriage kind of shift, especially as her parents got divorced and things like that. That kind of hurts me to my bone. But it seems like our narrator, like for the narrator from Cowboy Like Me, doesn't really believe in it. It's a sweet idea, but it's not like a feasible real life one.
Hmm.
And that makes me also wonder, why did you put it on a hat for your Valentine's Day collection? Like, it's so annoying because she's in like the most loving, happy relationship, and she's out here playing love sucks. No one needs love. And I'm out here like, no, Taylor, you can't say that. You have everything you could possibly want. Get out of here. That's for us who
Well,
doesn't have it.
I think we have different opinions about what the song means. You're going to interpret it in
Mhm.
one way. I interpret it as someone who was jaded by love and just the idea, especially if Taylor, you know, being denoted as boy crazy from the media and having all these relationships that ended up not working out. And now someone that she was with for a long time, Calvin Harris, that turned out to not be such a great thing. And, finally finding someone who you think, oh, like this is interesting. It's just going to be, one of those things, so to speak. And now she's with this person. She's never going to love again. I think it's someone who's jaded and then eventually, is happy about it and says, well, forever's the sweetest con. I might be jaded about love, but, this is nice.
Okay, so let's get into that. So Taylor's, like we said, there's a theory going around on Twitter and everything about all these 6 songs being the storyline, the timeline of Taylor Swift and Joe's relationship. So starting with the first song, we're going to go through, kind of point out where we think this could be, where the lines match up to the different parts of her relationship. So starting with Cowboy Like Me, I can give you my interpretation of the song and then you can refute it with what you think the ending of the song is. Um, so for me, Cowboy Like Me, like we said, it definitely does feel like someone who's jaded from love. Either they came out of a relationship that they thought was going to be the one, and or with, in a sense of Taylor, they she's just been in the media all the time talking about how her relationships always end bad, and stuff like that. So I'm going to start with Joe and Taylor's relationship. From what we know and what I've been able to put together, what we've been able to put together, what I've been told by friends that are really big into Taylor Swift, is there is a theory that Taylor and Joe met and began as a non-committal kind of friends with benefits situation. They weren't in a relationship, they weren't exclusive, and they were just in it for the fun, because Joe just seen as that kind of playboy kind of guy, and Taylor kind of coming out of all these relationships didn't want anything serious again, and just thought, let's just do something different that I'm not used to.
Was
We
Joe
see
seen
pieces.
as a was Joe seen as a player?
I tried to look that up,
Like I feel like he
and
was just this kind of like he didn't really have any public, you know,
that's the thing. I
appearance.
think that's speculation. So I am going on speculation. That, thank you for calling that out. I looked up Joe's dating history before Taylor. There is not a lot of information out there on it.
Hmm.
So we're going off of what the songs seem to imply, which is all from Taylor's point of view. So Taylor could just have a little bit of a skewed point of view on it. But we do see in Cruel Summer, Delicate, Dress, these signs that like Taylor is in this relationship that she's not quite happy about the way that it's going. So like from these two songs, or from Cruel Summer, Delicate, we see lyrics of Taylor coming off her stint with Calvin Harris and Tom Hiddleston, the media blowing her up. Lyrics in Delicate and Cruel Summer give us a feeling that we're seeing each other, but there's no real sense of an actual like defined relationship. And then Taylor like seems to have bit off more than she can chew and started to get real feelings for Joe. So in Delicate, we say we can't make any promises. Now, can we, babe? Do the girls back home touch you like I do? Joe is seeing other girls. They aren't being exclusive, and she's not 100% okay with it. Stay here, honey. I don't want to share is another lyric where we kind of see that she realizes she wants more than just hooking up and actually wants a real relationship with Joe. I pretend you're mine all the damn time. Delicate is her being afraid to voice that she likes him. And then Cruel Summer is her internalizing her feelings for Joe and suffering through a whole summer of this non-committal hooking up because she really likes him and doesn't want to lose him and is afraid that he doesn't like her back in the same way.
Until
So
she blows up
cool until she blows
in
up
the back of
and
the
she sees
car.
him grinning like a devil. Which I love that idea too. Like he's grinning like a devil. He's like, how could you think I didn't like you? Like, come on. We had this whole thing, like, and you're out here like, you don't like me, like I like you. Anyway, that's cool. How does this tie to Cowboy Like Me? So there are a lot of lyrics in Cowboy Like Me that let us know Taylor is coming off a relationship or relationships where she is starting to give up on love. Lyrics like, very obviously, I'm never going to love again. Never wanted love. She says a lot of things that are just very like, you don't really need to read too far into it. She's not happy about love. She's pretty jaded at this point. She's also very cautious with this new relationship. You ask me to dance, and I say dancing is a dangerous game. One of the first times that she met Joe was, if she, allegedly, we don't know what actually happened, was at the Bowery at a I think it was We the Kings? Was it We the Kings concert
Hmm.
or Kings of Leon concert?
I think Kings
There's
of Leon
Kings,
sounds right.
Kings of Leon concert. So they met when they were both single at a concert because I think the first time they met, she was still dating Calvin Harris because she was platinum blonde, and that's like a lyric.
Did she not meet him at the Met Gala?
That might have been it
Hmm.
when she was platinum blonde.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when they met, but she was still dating Calvin Harris, so she
Hmm.
couldn't do anything about it. And I think that's what Gorgeous is about. You're so gorgeous,
Yeah.
like I can't do it. Yeah. So we have the first time they met when they were single at a concert. You asked me to dance. I say dancing is a dangerous game. Taylor like makes me think like they did start with friends with benefits, knowing that doing something like this, knowing that dancing can lead to other things, and especially with a guy like Joe who she thinks she might like, it getting into that world is a dangerous game. I'm not 100% sure the timeline here, but the lyrics, I never wanted love, just a fancy car. Now I'm waiting by the phone, makes me think Joe didn't want to fall for Joe, or Taylor didn't want to fall for Joe. She just thought of him as eye candy or something new or something to distract her from the media or from her past relationships, just something kind of like a palate cleanser. We get into the post chorus that what Genius calls a post chorus one, which shows Taylor observing Joe with other girls, the player mentality of promising love and happiness with him, but seeing that they'll pay for it. And then in the second half, she switches the pronouns and shows that she's falling for the exact same gambit that she's watched Joe employ on these women, but saying like, we could be the way for it, but I know I'll pay for it. Like she's aware of what she's doing. She knows that she's falling into this same trap that these other women have. And then we get to the bridge, and this is the most evidence I think I have for this, and I'm really excited about this one. But Taylor tells about her dating Calvin and Tom. Well, how does she tell that? All the old men I swindled really thought I was the one. I did some quick sleuthing. Tom and Calvin Harris are both like 7 to 8 years older than Taylor, and Joe is 2 years younger. I love that it's that just 7 to 8 years that she's calling them old men.
Yeah. How old is she? She's like
She's
30,
31.
31. So
Mm-hmm.
imagine 8 years older. So they're almost 40. And the old
Mm-hmm.
man that I swindled, like imagine hearing that song, like, I'm not old.
I'm not old. Like, look at Calvin Harris looks down at his shredded body, and he's just like, "You're calling me old?"
Hmm.
I would kill to look like Calvin Harris at 38. So that's another thing. But like, yeah, that whole bridge we see is very similar to just like all the old men that she swindled. We have all the skeletons in our closets plotted hard to mess this up. I use the clean version there. That they're both talking about how like they both have these pasts that are messed up, and they're plotting hard to mess up whatever this could be. And all the ladies lunching have their stories about when you pass through town, again implying that Joe got around a little bit potentially, but that was all before I locked it down. This is where I think your theory comes in a little bit, where
Hmm.
they actually end happy and she locked Joe down. Now they're no longer friends with benefits,
Yeah. So
they're a real relationship.
in my interpretation, I think that this song has a happy ending. Joe thinks the opposite. I think that this is, you hang from my lips, your boots are under my bed, when you come home from work after a long day, you know, that's where they live now. They don't live in your apartment, they don't live somewhere else. They don't live by the front door. They're just like under the bed. Forever's the sweetest con. I'll never love again. This is it.
I think that's true, because I think like in a vacuum, this song has to have a happy ending, right?
Hmm.
Like it if because if you're just listening to Cowboy Like Me by itself, yeah, it needs to have a beginning, a middle, and it actually has to have an end that's satisfying to the listener who's just listening to this song. I think when you put the other context around it of these these 5 other songs, and the context of this is our relationship, I think it still has that happy ending, and it just points to the future.
Hmm.
But I like the idea of, all right, well, what's the next part of this story? What's the next part of this relationship? And we get into Mirror Ball. So Mirror Ball, Devin's once favorite song from the album, is Taylor and Joe still in their non-committal part of their relationship. They're still just hooking up. There's no definition of what they are. They aren't exclusive. And Taylor starts to realize, crap, I like this guy, like more than, like, I want to be more than just friends. Like, I want to be more than whatever we are. And she starts to realize their moments together are getting more intimate than just a physical relationship. She's doing things to help him when he's upset, even at the expense of herself. The lyrics like, I'm standing on my tallest tiptoes, shining just for you. I'll change everything about myself just for you. Taylor isn't usually, from what we know of Taylor and her entire dating history, she's not a casual relationship person. She's not a fling type person, but she's changing all of that to acquiesce to what Joe generally goes for. And I think the bridge is like a tipping point. It's the moment where Taylor kind of realizes she does love Joe, and that she's going to have a hard time maintaining this course of what their relationship is. If this continues, she just starts to realize, crap, like, I actually really like this guy, but I don't want to like ruin it, what we have right now, and make it go back to nothing. So she's like kind of trying to figure out what to do about it.
I have a different interpretation that I just thought of for these next two songs. So with Mirror Ball and the next one, Evermore, I think that if my theory is correct, that they officially are together at the end of Cowboy Like Me, you have to think about the dynamic of the relationship, that she was in hiding and they kept this relationship
Mm-hmm.
secret for a long time. I think that Mirror Ball, when she says, hush, I know the end is near, I think the end that she's referring to is the end of the peace that they have, that everything is
Mm.
hush and no one knows about this except their friends and family. And, her mom's looking at her like, the end of your piece is, it's coming. You're going to have to, reflect this to the rest of the world. People are eventually going to find out. And she knows that this like sneaking around and all this happiness is going to come to an end. And that's why when she gets into Evermore, which is the next song, it's the anxiety of knowing that I'm going to have to make this a thing. People are going to find out. I have to brace myself and I have to brace you for the outside world to find out. And when you tie it in with other songs that relate to that kind of anxiety about it, I'm trying to think of off the top of my head. But in Evermore, just to kind of bridge this a little bit, you know, she's talking about how every time she's gone into the public, it's been a disaster. People have come for the relationship, they've attacked it, and she's like, "It's not gonna survive. I know I'm not gonna be happy. Every other instance I've had has showed that this doesn't work out for me, and the only way to keep it pure is to keep it hidden."
Mhm.
And just to quickly synopsis it before you get into your theory, I think that the middle part of Evermore, where she's going back and forth with Justin Vernon, conflicting about it, she's like, "Well, it was real enough, and I can't think of all the cost, all that could be lost," I think is the lyric. And
Mhm.
then at the end, you were there, and she decides, "Okay, well, I'm going to be okay. This won't be forevermore. It'll work out."
No, I love that. Actually, I didn't even think of that. That's a really good theory. I like that. Well, that's the other thing. And we say this, I'm pretty sure, I think we're contractually obligated to say it once an episode, but every Taylor Swift lyric has about 3 or 4 different meanings.
Mhm.
And we're never going to encapsulate them all. We can, and just as people who are into Taylor Swift, into lyrics, into music, we can we can make them say whatever we really want them to in certain ways. And I think at the end of the day, it's whatever you're feeling too at the moment. I'm always jaded. So obviously I'm gonna point out the jaded stuff. I think you're a little bit less jaded, hopefully.
In my loving relationship.
In your loving, happy relationship. So no, I love that though. I think that is a really good point. The hush, I know they say the end is near, is really good.
Mhm.
I think I think it can, if we want to do that double meaning thing, she can also mean hush. I know they say the end is near. Hush being Taylor saying, "Don't tell him you like him. Don't tell him how
Mhm.
you feel. Otherwise, it'll be over, and what you have now will be done." But I like yours a lot better as a happier ending.
I try to spin it optimistically.
I think that's so funny. Like you're always the optimistic one, and I'm always Droopy the dog. It's, oh, it's so sad. Um, I think so. I'm gonna go off on my theory. So you said what was your theory again, real quick? Just the quickest one sentence synopsis.
So Mirrorball, she's concerned that the end is near. They're going to have to go public. Evermore, she's thinking, is it worth it? Do I go through this pain again of displaying everything to the public? The anxiety of it back and forth. She's trying to figure out if it's real enough. Can't think of all the costs, all that will be lost. But you were there. It's happy. She realizes, okay, well, let's do this. I'm in it for the long haul.
Okay. I think Evermore is her wrestling internally
Mhm.
with telling Joe how she really feels about him. And the reason that I believe this, and also I'm just going to point this out right now, Evermore, I've always had it towards the bottom of my list of our power rankings. This song is so good. This song is so good. Like, I know we said it in our last episode that like the bridge is where it really kicks off and that's where we really listen. But like even the non-bridge part, I'm starting to get more into.
Good.
This album is so good. Like, there's just no bad songs in this album. But so like I said, I think this is Taylor in the middle of realizing her love for Joe and thinking that he doesn't like her back in that way, and thinking there's really nothing she can do about it. So the first verse I think encapsulates this perfectly. She says, "I've been down since July." Is that a Cruel Summer reference? Oh
It's the
my gosh.
summertime.
It's the summertime. July is the summertime. I replay my footsteps. She's going over everything in the relationship, trying to figure out if she had a chance to fix it, if she had a chance to make her feelings known, and if there was a way that she could make this relationship have worked the way that she, in the end, wanted it to. Sending letters addressed to the fire. She's thinking of what she can say to him, what she wants to say to him, but instead of doing it, she's just writing it out and throwing it away. She knows she can never actually say it. And then we have Justin Vernon come in, and I think he plays like her inner monologue. Like I think it's like her voice is her saying something, and then her like just like that voice in the back of your head that's like, "No, you can't do that, you fool." I don't know if everyone's voice in the back of their head sounds like a 1920s mobster, but Maybe that's just me. But we Justin Vernon comes in, plays her mind, rushing with thoughts and bad ideas of what would happen if she did voice her feelings and they were unrequited. Can't This is a weird. They do have like the weirdest double negative in this line. I never noticed. Can't not think of the cost. Not just cannot think of the cost. You have to say can't not think of the cost and all that will be lost if she tells him that she loves him and he doesn't feel the same way. It's just no more relationship. Whatever she had, the like casual hooking up or any the physical relationship she had, seeing him all the time, that's gone. If she tells him, "Hey, I really like you. I want more out of this relationship," and he doesn't feel the same way, you lost this person that you cared so much about. And is it better to just suffer through liking this person just so you stay with them, or risk losing them by telling them it? It's no more relationship, even if it's not the relationship we want. She'd rather have that than nothing. Then we get another line: the violence of the dog days, another reference to Cruel Summer, the dog days of summer. And then is there a line that I could just go cross? This match is delicate. Like, is it too much to is it am I wait, what is the line from Delicate? I'm so bad at
Is it
lyrics, it's
cool that I said
insane.
all that?
Is it cool that I said all that? Is it chill that you're in my head because I know that it's delicate? Is there a line that I could just cross to let you know how I feel and make this like trigger this to happen without hurting me? She knows the situation is delicate, and this is the point where she just wants to know the right line to cross to make the situation okay. In bridge number 2, thanks, genius. Uh, Taylor comes in and starts interjecting over her thoughts and making realizations for herself. Even in her darkest days, no matter what, she still thought of Joe, no one else. She dreamed of him, and it was real enough to get her through the fear of asking him and voicing her feelings. We then end the song with her thinking that she has to go through with it and voice her feelings, and something changed and makes her think that it could go exactly how she wants. So now I'm interested to hear your theories for Long Story Short, Invisible String, and the final song. So what do you think Long Story Short is about then?
So I was thinking about that. I had a good interjection about it, but now that I'm thinking about it, I wonder if long story short is her explaining to the public how her relationship was. And, she says, I fell from the
Ooh.
pedestal. Long story short, it was a bad time. I was with the wrong guys, clung to the nearest lips. She's explaining what that Tom Hiddleston situation was, where everyone's like, what the hell was that? Where he was wearing your initials on his shirt. That was a publicity stunt. And she was like, listen, I clung to the nearest lips. Long story short, it was the wrong guy. But she
Mhm.
is singing the song to Joe because she's saying, now I'm all about you. So that is a little bit of an inconsistency. But
No, but I love it.
I love the bridge though. The bridge is one of my favorite parts about the song
We love a
is
bridge.
yes, we're a bridge podcast, like we said, above anything else. And she's just talking to her past self. And I think that, she had the anxiety of, do I make this public? Do I not make this public? Everything's better hidden and I don't want to go out and face the cruel world. And she goes, past me. Oh God, I'm forgetting the lyrics. I want to tell you not to
Whoa.
get lost in these petty things. Your enemies will defeat themselves before they get the chance to swing. And it's just, she's explaining to herself, like, listen, you've gone through a lot. You've had people come at you for worse and for, you know, all these situations, but he's passing by. If you don't grab him and take him and make him public, he's going to pass you by. He's a rare person, as a comet in the sky, you know.
And he
Um,
feels like home.
if the shoe
If the
fits,
shoe fits, walk in
walk in
it
it everywhere
everywhere
you
you go.
go. Expose him to the public, walk with him, take him in your hand, and show the world this is my man, which will be in the next song, Willow. Oh no,
We
no,
should have
Visible String.
we should have started with mine because yours is so much better and I like yours so much better and I hate that.
Well, what do you think
No, that's
in your
awesome. I
theory?
love that. So my theory is this. I think it's along the same line. So I like clearly this is sung to Joe. I think this is her after Evermore saying, "All right, I'm gonna tell him." This is her telling him, And she like, so we get lyrics like, I tried to pick my battles till the battle picked me. She tried so hard to skirt around her feelings. She tried so hard to avoid telling him how she felt, but eventually the battle picked her and she couldn't hide it anymore. She tells Joe that she thought he was just a rebound to help her get over the drama with Calvin and Tom. She needed, like I said, a palate cleanser, something different than what she'd experienced with them, and thought that something quick and casual with no feelings would be perfect until it wasn't. Like, that's the thing that I think really gets me is like, you think of how this relationship started and the way that she sings about it, because from what everyone knows, based on Taylor and her life being so under the microscope, she was not the kind of person that would just do a one night stand. She would not just hook up with some random celebrity. She's just not that kind of person. And to be fair, her documentary showed us that what her real feelings and who the real Taylor was is hidden behind a curtain of this forefront Taylor, as we know how crazed we are that she curses now. But it still doesn't feel like that was what she generally was back at that time. And I think when she finally got so sick of being nitpicked by the media for her relationship with Calvin, Tom, and everyone else, that she was like, screw it, I'm gonna do something that characteristically no one would think I would do, and I'm just gonna have fun and write songs about that, veiled in a way. But then we get to the knife cuts both ways, clung to the nearest lips, like you said. Like, she's telling him the story, basically, exactly like you said. She's telling the story of how that all went down. And then this is the song where they officially get together, and Joe is like, yeah, no, we're fine. Like, I'm down with it. I don't think he has any words or any actual lyrics in the song, but they go over their skeletons in their closets from Cowboy Like Me. Taylor explains everything that happened, and now she's just all about him. And like you said, it hits in the bridge where they put aside the casual non-exclusivity of their relationship and actually become a real couple. No more keeping score, no more tug of war. And I think this is my favorite one, is "And my waves hit your shore ever and ever more." So direct relation to the last song, where we always relate Justin Vernon's lyrics to her being lost in a sea,
Mhm.
and her frantic mind, Justin, attacking her and making her doubt his feelings, making her doubt her decision. And now they've reached his shore. The thoughts she had, her feelings finally reached his shore, no longer causing her duress. And I really can't make this connection any better, considering she says evermore in the very next line.
Mhm. Yeah.
I don't know if so I think this is her telling the story. I don't know if this might not be where they get together, because we don't have Joe saying anything really. Like, I'm looking back through it and it's just all through Taylor's point of view. I don't see, now I just know there's more, no more tug of war. Now I just keep you warm.
Mhm.
Like, there's nothing about or from Joe's perspective in this song.
Yeah. I think that.
So
I
I
think.
don't know if they officially got together.
Mm. Yeah, in mine, I think that they are together. They're taking a step out into
They're
the
together
public.
by this point, yeah.
Yes, and I think that they're to the public, or maybe even before she's saying to the public, she's just prepping him, like kind of more so your theory. It could be like your theory where maybe she's not saying it to the public, but she's prepping him and she's saying, "Okay, well, I want to go to the public. This is what the story is, and this is, me explaining to you like how we got here." And now she's taking that step into the public. This is the decision that she's making, the de facto we're going to go public. And then
Mhm.
invisible string might be the actual telling of the story to the public and just saying, you know I'm in love with you, I'm declaring my love. This is where I come from, this is where you come from, and this is why we were meant to be together. And it's just kind of like the love story.
Mhm. Oh God, I love it. And it's, long story short, it's just that also kind of lends credence to your theory too. Like, well, when you go to tell a thing to the public and to all of these people, you're not going to tell the full story. You're just going to, hey, long story short,
Mhm.
this. There you go. We're together now.
Yeah.
Long story short, I'm happy now,
Long story
basically.
short, this is my boyfriend Joe. Hey.
Yeah. Hey, what's up? Um,
And then invisible string is where she really gets into it and she's like, this is very real. We've been together for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
I love this man.
So yeah, so I think this is where our theories kind of converge at
Hmm.
this point. So for me, Invisible String, we've talked about Taylor's connection with relationship with Joe in a couple of episodes before. If you want to listen to more about this song, we have a song breakdown out about it, so you can go check that out. But this is them in the midst of being in a public relationship. We get all these like details about it. Teal is the color of your shirt. Yeah, we know publicly has been admitted is about Joe, his job at the yogurt shop where they wore teal colored shirts.
Hmm.
Joe was listening to Taylor in his cab on his first trip to LA, documented. And then This was an interesting one that I just found out in my research today. Bold was the waitress on our first when we
3 year
got
trip.
lunch down by the lake,
Hmm.
on a 3 year trip when we got lunch down by the lake. Before Taylor and Joe did come out to the public, she would actually wear a lot of disguises in London, like scarves covering her face and just things covering her, like trying to not get recognized, obviously. So I think it's interesting the waitress doesn't quite recognize her. You look like a singer from America. I don't know who you are. You look like something familiar. And
Hmm.
I love that. Right into that dive bar is another reference to Delicate, dive bar on the east side where you at. Like there are so many just like kind of like easy Easter eggs in this one, but I don't think there's really much to break down about this song. It's very forward about what it is. Give me those purple pink skies. I think it's interesting. Gave me those purple pink skies. Is their relationship gave her lover.
Hmm.
She wrote like her first song where there were no breakup songs that were about her. Death by a Thousand Cuts is about based on a movie.
That we
So
reviewed.
that we reviewed. That's another episode you can go listen to. Someone great. Yeah, so I think it's interesting to see. This is just like painting their relationship. I think it just delves a little bit deeper into the 3 years of them together, and I think it's them publicly explaining how everything went down. And then Willow, I think we both feel the same about this. It's just her announcing to the world, that's my man,
Hmm.
claiming Joe. I think for me, we get another reference to water as Taylor's mind, like we did in Evermore, like we did in Long Story Short. Her thoughts are an ocean, and Joe is the ship that sent waves through her mind. We get like I think we get like kind of like a wrap up. Like this is
Hmm.
just like it's the end song. It's the wrap up. And if this was an open shut case, Taylor's trying to figure out Joe's intentions, but she can't. She can't figure out if her feelings towards him are reciprocating. If this is an open shut case, I never would have known by the look on your face. Like if you love me, there is no way I would have known. I just could
Hmm.
not figure that out by looking at you or how we acted together. The first chorus recounts the first part of their relationship, like saying, "I'm begging you to take my hand. Like, please, please, just like let us be a thing. Wait for this signal, and I'll meet you after the dark." And I snuck in through that garden gate. That's another cruel summer kind of reference, I think. And then at the end, she says, "Now this is an open shut case. We love each other. It's out in the world. It's definitive. The world knows. I know. You know. Everyone knows. We are together. We love each other. Willow.
And she ends the song with "That's my man."
That's my man." So I love this theory, and it made me love these. That's the thing I think is interesting too about Taylor's songs is that theories and like backstory and like diving deep into these songs. Like I say it on every song breakdown we do, but every time we finish the song breakdown, that's my new favorite song for a day.
Hmm.
Like just learning more about them just makes the songs amplify and feel better. I think this is one of the best chapters just because the previous chapters I never felt like I got anything like this out of it.
Hmm.
Like escapism I felt like I did because like again you were peeling back the songs and trying to find more meaning in them, but as we kept going we couldn't find any more meaning in the songs that we didn't already from just them being songs, and we don't think the chapters really amplified or added anything to them all being together. This one I think really did, for
I
me at least.
I think that we probably like this chapter a lot because it is about Taylor. And as
Mm-hmm.
Taylor Swift fans, people love conspiracizing or whatever the word is
That's a new
about,
word.
yeah. People love thinking of conspiracies about her. And so this was like a little nod probably from her like, okay, you can do it a little bit. Because this whole, the two albums she said I'm making up these stories, these fictional characters, and this was just a little nod that it's still there, it's my music. I can interject my stuff if I want to, and if I want you to believe that this is about me and Joe, then here you go.
Yeah, I think this is like her autobiography. This is like her red. This is like her. This is all about me. These are the ones that are about me, guys. Just so you know, I still think obviously there are other songs that are still about her. I think Peace fits into this really
Hmm.
well. I think like there are a bunch of other songs, but I think these are the de facto songs that just are very clearly her and her relationship. And it's cool that she was like she said, fine, I'll give it all to you in one chapter. I think this chapter was released with merit. I wish it had a better name. I wish she came up with something a little bit catchier, but I understand what this era is and what she's kind of doing with it. But I think it's really funny that after I did a or we did a whole episode of me just trashing chapters and saying how stupid and unnecessary they were, she goes, it's like she heard and goes, "Oh, you think this is unnecessary? Well, here you go. Here's one you're going to love, and here's one that's going to prove that you're wrong again because I'm Taylor Swift and I know everything and you don't know crap." And I'm sorry, Taylor, for ever doubting you because every time I do, I'm wrong. Every time. Every single time.
Yep. All right. Well, that was pretty good. I like that. I like that
I
explanation. I like this chapter. It's given me hope.
it's I'm starting to feel a little revitalized with Taylor Swift. I think I said in an episode or so a little while ago that I was getting a little burnout on Evermore Taylor Swift and I'm like listening to other music, but I'm starting to feel a little bit more re-energized. I'm probably not going to just throw them back on repeat all over again, but like I was listening to a full playlist of all 34 songs and like Epiphany came on and I was like, "Oh yeah, this song's really good." And then like other songs
There
from
you
Ever
go.
or Folklore came on and I'm like, "This song's good." Like I listened to Ferris like that bridge. I'm like, "Oh my gosh." Like I'm starting to remember that I love these songs and it's interesting that that's coming up as quick as it does because I know with Reputation with 1989 it took a while for me to like get reinvigorated in those songs.
Hmm.
So I think that just makes me think this era, these two albums are really something special. I think they are going to, for me at least, stand the test of time and be some of my favorite albums from her.
These two albums, only two
These two albums.
albums.
Please no more. Like just let us sit in them for a little bit. We do have another theory, and I'll just quickly throw this one out there that she's going to re-release Love Story on the 13th
Mm.
and then announce something about her re-records.
Happy Valentine's Day. Here's Love
Oh God.
Story.
Eh,
The 13th.
on Desperation Day. Anyway, if you like what you heard this week, please be sure to give us a review and a 5-star rating on Apple, iTunes, whatever that's called. I forget exactly what their medium is. Uh, tell a friend about us if you have a friend that's a big Swifty fan or anything like that. If you came up with an argument and we supported your argument, share us, cite your source, and let them know that other people believe what you believe.
Yes, and make sure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We post mostly on Instagram and YouTube. Like, subscribe,
Like, hit that bell.
hit that little notification bell. But yes, we are at We Need to Calm Down podcast.
If you guys have a suggestion for an episode, we're seeing some start to pour in. Keep them coming. We throw them in a hopper, and we will probably get to a lot of them. Honestly, drop us a comment, DM if you have anything that you like about the show, if anything you want to change or anything you think we should do. We're always listening to feedback. Just as a reminder, like I said at the top of the show, we are going to switch to every other week for the time being. So there won't be an episode next typical Tuesday, but I believe it's February 16th. We said, be sure to tune in. We'll be back for another episode that day.
All right, so come back.
We'll be here.